Beep, 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 beep. Hello, peeps, and welcome to the Court of the EDI Jester. I hope you're doing well. Please do come and join us as a warrior teacher. Details in the doobries. Like, subscribe, all the usual. Yeah, do it. Do it. Turn on your notifications so you know when I'm blathering. Now, some of you may recall the thrill of it all, right? They recall the nonsense that happened with the ONS, who I spoke to some years ago and said, you've got a problem and you need to deal with this, and they completely ignored me. Quelle surprise. They're also still completely ignoring people, I think. But you remember the ONS guffed up the gender question, which shouldn't even be in the... We didn't care how many of you there are. You're all mad. But it caused somewhat of a problem because obviously the census is about who we are and where we are, you know? So we can plan the NHS, so we can plan forward what's going to be needed in the infrastructure of our civilization. And they buggered it up. Daft sods. You know, people make mistakes. So they should be able to say, oh, we made a terrible mistake, but they won't. They won't. They'll carry on with their nonsense because they're infiltrated like everywhere else. So I was not surprised to see, but it was good to get my hands on a tweet from a group called LGBT STEM. Right, it just screams problems, doesn't it? LGBT STEM. Who have subsequently blocked me. They're obviously not happy with some of the questions I asked or some of the people I pointed them at. Look at these people, right? So I've got the link for the tweet, but I can't see it. Weirdness. In a weird world, we're talking about something we can't see. However, it was about data collection and instructions for collecting data on the LGBTQ nut jobs, right? How to collect data on the loons. And so I thought to myself, here, in one of my warrior teacher groups, we've got a marvellous chap called Richard, right? Who's very fond of telling me that what I'm talking about is rubbish. Or he'll say, why is this relevant? He's great. So he challenges me, like our Robbie does, and so do many of the others as well. We'll just need to think about that, Barry, which is always great, because I always put stuff in front of them for their consideration. And I thought, here now, Richard, see, he's a data man, right? Richard's a data man, so he knows his stuff. That's what he does, data analysis. So I forwarded the tweet to Richard, saying, here, have a look at this and give me your data take. Which Richard, within no time at all, did, right? So these guidelines that have been produced by the LGBTQ STEM people, which are scientists that aren't serious scientists because they're obviously supporting the nut jobs, right? Maybe they are. Maybe I'm being cruel. Maybe they are actually serious scientists. Produced a guide. A guide, right? So, let's have a look and see what's going on. They've produced this guide. This is what you must do. So Richard, being laser sharp on the old data, has sent me back some information that I'm going to give you now. When I asked Richard, where are the problems in this, Richard came up with the following. This is just so good. Data is to be collected based upon identities, that's in this document, which are subjective, says Richard, rather than upon physical biological characteristics, such as sex, race, and disabilities, which are objective. This can result in skewed data as the data subject fills in their identity based upon what they think they are, rather than what they actually are. It's just beautiful, a beautiful thing. For an example, is that a male who identifies as a woman may class themselves as cis, and then he's put brackets. I hate using that term, right? Brackets, which is great, rather than trans, as they genuinely believe that they are female. What a wonderful observation, right? So next he said, the document indicates that it's important to collect data with respect to gender identity, sexual identity, and trans identity to ensure equality over protected characteristics. And Richard said this is in section 2 of the LGBTQ STEM guidelines, right? As this document relates to the UK, then that would mean the protected characteristics of the Equality Act 2010, more specifically, gender reassignment, which I believe does not mean gender identity, sexual identity, and trans identity exactly. So not sure what they are trying to say here. Well done, Richard. Just leave the question hanging. What are they trying to say? They're trying to say they want to include self-ID and any other lunatic in their guidelines, which they have produced as the organisation known as the LGBTQ STEM guidance, right? Point 3, says Richard. Point 3, okay? All questions should be optional. Section 3, best practice for questionnaires. The document basically says to assure as high an engagement as possible to make all of the questions on a questionnaire optional to answer. This will create incomplete data sets. If your analysis revolves around sex and you have a cohort of people selecting prefer not to say, this will introduce a margin of error into the analysis, as there is now a grey area of people where you have no idea what category they should sit in. Warrior teacher kicks LGBTQ STEM guidance in butt. Free text options. Free text is good for getting feedback or asking for additional information based upon why an option has been selected as a questionnaire. However, there are issues recording responses to a question using a free text option. Accuracy and aggregation issues creep in. So how do you get that together, all of that information people have put in? The option basically gives the person filling in the questionnaire free rein to create their own categories. I'd have never seen any of this, Richard. I would never have seen any of it. Their own categories. Their input may even fall into one of the categories already listed, just worded differently. The data collector has the option here to either put all of these responses into an other category, or they could try to interpret the responses and put them into the existing categories they see fit effectively using their judgment, which may be biased. To change the response into what they see fit, data collected must never be tampered with or changed in any way to ensure the integrity of the data. This came from a group who think that they were assigned STEM. STEM. See the worry? This worry about this creep of this nonsense into STEM. STEM people need to be standing up, particularly in the universities, and go, get thee gone, LGBTQ nutter. Be gone, you LGBTQ nutter. Richard continues with his fifth point. Question 3.2. Don't be afraid of using the word queer. Brackets caution on bottom of page 4. The document says that historically the word queer has been used as a slur. Surely it is still considered a slur by a large number of gay people. Just because the TQ plus don't consider it a slur, it does not stop it being so. Absolutely right, Richard. Let alone the fact that when you use the word queer, what you're saying is that you are a supporter of a theory which wishes to break down the barriers between adult and child. Pride in STEM? Explain yourselves. 6. Richard's next point. Data trends over time. Section 4, discussion. The section of the document discusses that anybody's LGBTQ plus identity may change at any point in time, and this change should be accommodated. They are literally insane. Basically, a user can request to change their data. This can be problematic, as if identities can be changed when then you have a situation where you can have a data set of people split in a certain way for a set of results recorded in 2022. And then if people decide to change their identities, the results in 2023 will be totally different, but with the same set of people. It basically makes trending results over a period of time totally unreliable. This is absolutely a kick in the buttocks. So in summary, because people can be their true self, it makes any kind of identity categorization useless. Gender identity, sexual identity, and trans identity are not necessarily protected characteristics, as they are being confused with the protected characteristic of gender reassignment from the Equality Act of 2010. Equality Act. It's equality, Richard, just so you know. Equality Act 2010. So many of us make that mistake, don't we? If other sectors use gender reassignment, then this is not comparable with the identity characteristics listed above. Making questions optional means there is a potential of incomplete data records. Free text option granulates data categories and introduces an element of inaccuracies, spelling, formatting errors, and may be open to introducing human error, changing data where the data collector may try to interpret the responses. Data collected should not be changed at any time to ensure data integrity. Due to being able to change identities over time, any historical reporting, analysing trends over time, becomes a complete nonsense. A combination of the factors above will result in any analysis produced an unreliable source of information which any professional analyst should be embarrassed to put their name against. There is no guidance on what an effective response rate dataset size is required to produce meaningful analysis, just a nod to the fact that traditionally data was not recorded due to the low numbers of LGBTQ plus people. Thank you, Richard, for taking apart the ridiculous LGBTQ pride in STEM nut jobs, right, and what they're up to. What are you doing, right? Nobody should be listening to you, pride in STEM. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Richard, Data man extraordinaire. Thank you for doing that analysis. I know that this kind of analysis of data problems has already been done by many people, I think Sex Matters has looked at this, haven't they? Stats for Gender have looked at this. Transgender Trend have looked. So we know that this is already being done, but it was great to get Richard's take so quickly from the warrior teachers. This is the importance of the team, you see. This is the importance of the team. I can get this stuff from people who know what they're talking about when it comes to stuff that I don't know what I'm talking about. So thank you, Richard. Brilliant. Onwards, good people. Don't let them screw with the stats. It's a disaster. I'll see you later.